recording it now. And I hope this will be an amazing session. I'm sure it will. Take it over, Captivate team.
Thank you so much, Gal. Struggling to find my mute button there, but at the end of the day, I found it. Thank you so much for that, Gal. Yes, it's been a wonderful friendship here for several years, and we're so thrilled to see your product grow and your base of customers grow. And we are happy to be here today to talk about something that we are very passionate about, which is campaigns and how campaigns in the base platform can drive results in a really time-bound and coordinated programmatic way. Over many years of experience, we have found that campaigns are a really nice supplementary piece to your overall admin flow. And we are looking forward to getting into that and showing you some of our magic today. So with that, let's dive into hitting a home run with base campaigns. As Gal mentioned, we are Captivate Collective. We are an agency that helps organizations build out bold engagement strategies for customer advocacy and really anything to do with customer advocacy from acquisition all the way through to advocacy. It is what we are 100% focused on. We've been in this space for many, many years. I won't give you our collective number of years because then we would be revealing our ages, and we're ladies, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to move on. The Captivate Advantage, here are some of the wonderful folks that we've had the opportunity to work with. The Captivate Advantage that you see here, this is really why people choose to work with us. We are real world practitioners, so we have sat in your seats. We understand customer advocacy really from the front lines, all the way from specialists through to VP of customer advocacy. And we've been on the forefront for many years. So we have been out teaching and learning and sharing and developing best practices now for the better part of 10 years. And it really is part of the fabric of who we are as people and who we are as Captivate Collective. We're unbiased and on-site. So we work with different vendors, from awards vendors to advocacy vendors, and we help clients really develop the best strategies for the tools and the toolkit that they have to work with. And the last piece there, we're future focused and holistic. We're always thinking of where is this space going? Customer advocacy is evolving, and it is evolving at light speed. How do we stay on the leading edge of that? What are we seeing coming down the pipe, and then bringing that goodness to our clients? I am Deena Zenyk. Off there to the right, I am the Chief Client Officer here at Captivate, and I am joined by Liz and Kiely. Liz is our Chief Revenue Officer, a long history in customer advocacy, formerly VP of customer advocacy at a software company. And Kiely is our Senior Advocacy Consultant and has really deep experience ranging from reviews to community to advocacy. They are both joining me here today to take us through this content. All right, and speaking of this content today, here's where we're going to go. Today's lineup, haha, see what we did there? You're going to see that all through this session, you guys. So just get comfortable with it, all right?
Yeah, bonus points for people who throw out baseball jokes inside of the chat. So if you can make a pun today about baseball, extra points to you.
Yeah, extra points. Now the heat is on. Okay, the what and why of advocacy campaigns. So, just setting the stage for why should you even be thinking about campaigns, and why do we think about campaigns? Kiely's going to show us base campaigns in action. So a real case study, real examples of what these look like in your program. Liz is going to take us through the steps for designing an advocacy campaign. So really getting into the nuts and bolts of the methodology. So if you like what you see here, and you want to go and try your hand at building a campaign, you're going to be equipped by the end of this hour to go ahead and do that. And then at the end, we're going to talk about Captivate Campaigns templates for Base, which is a product that we have to offer. All right, and I'm going to keep talking because I'm going to present this first section. So what is a campaign? When we're talking about campaigns, what do we even mean? So here's a definition, pretty easy to digest. Base campaigns are a coordinated series of asks with a creative theme or focus designed to achieve one or more core success metrics. So it's a group of asks that are joined by some sort of a creative theme. And together, these asks are going to drive against a specific metric. So reviews, for example. Let's keep going. Let's have a look at reasons why base campaigns are effective. All right, reason number one, campaigns. Looking ahead allows you to strategically align advocate activity to your core metrics. So instead of kind of the spray and pray approach to content in a platform, you're really looking at, what do I have coming down the pipe and what are my KPIs? What do I need to achieve? And aligning campaigns to help you hit those metrics in a really coordinated way, not dripping out reviews maybe over the course of 12 months, but saying, I have a review metric of 50 reviews, and I'm going to try and hit that over these 2 campaigns at 2 points in the year. So that's number one. Number 2, campaigns are about having a calendarized program plan. And having a calendarized program plan allows you to really plot where and when you need to be active as an administrator. Are you a solo administrator managing your platform? Maybe. I know I was, Liz was, Kiely was. So how do you take vacation in that scenario, right? It's a problem. It's an issue. With campaigns, you can actually lay out your campaigns and say, you know what, I'm going to be on the back end of a campaign, and in this week in July, that's a really nice time for me to go camping. So a calendarized program plan allows you to control your workflows and resourcing that you're putting into the platform. Let's have a look at the third reason. This is a highly organized approach. I mentioned spray and pray. Hey, we've been there. This is highly organized. You know what to do and when to do it. And also your advocates know what to do and when to do it. So you're taking everything that you need to do, everything that you need to hit in your program as an administrator, and you're laying it out into a plan using campaigns as your big spikes to drive against your metrics. Let's boogie on to number 4. Budget and program value are linked. This is one of my favorite ones. So this is making measuring and reporting easier. So let me unpack this just quickly in 30 seconds or less. You're running a review campaign for 2 weeks. You have a grand prize that costs $100. Yes, you have other expenses. You have platform expenses. You have your salary expenses. But for that particular campaign, if you drive 50 reviews in that campaign, you can make a connection and say, I drove 50 reviews with this campaign and that grand prize cost me $100. You can start to connect your budget to the value that you're driving in very specific and time-bound ways. 5, you can focus your time on building relationships, not daily ask creation. Campaigns elevate you out of that messiness of not really knowing what to do with your content and all being sucked back into creating content on the fly, being really reactive. When you're not doing that, when you have the calendarized program plan, when you're organized, when you know what metrics you're trying to hit with your campaign, guess what? That's going to free up some of your time to do what you know how to do best. And advocacy professionals, you know what we're really good at? We're really good at building relationships. So campaigns will help free up some of your time so that you can focus on that piece that you're also really good at, but tends to get put on the back burner because we need to keep the content fresh inside our platforms. And let's have a look at the last one here. Number 6, lets you and your advocates focus when and where it matters most. Think about being an advocate in your program. Put yourself in their shoes. We would love to think that our advocates love us so much that they're going to be in our programs every week, twice a week, 3 times a week, completing asks and delivering a ton of value. But the fact is, they are just people like you and me. They have lives, and we need to help curate for our advocates. When is the most opportune time to come and be in the program? When is the most opportune time to come in and earn points or win a prize? And for you, that's the most opportune time because that's when you're really trying to drive against your metrics. So campaigns let you and your advocates focus when and where it matters most. Those are the 6 reasons why we love campaigns. Campaigns helped us as administrators solve for all of these pain points, these problems that we felt. And that's why we developed this methodology. I just briefly want to touch on content frameworks as we see them. There's 3 content frameworks for your base campaign. There are the proactive asks. So knowing what's coming down the pipe, keeping the content fresh and fun. And, you probably have maybe a content calendar of individual asks that you're going to flow into your base platform. You're being proactive there, right? You're working with internal stakeholders. Maybe you have a system to source asks, whatever it is. You're being proactive. On the other side of that is reactive. That's where administrators tend to get stuck. We tend to get stuck and bogged down when we're doing a good job, when the organization knows what the power of the platform is and what the power of the community is, and you start to get bombarded with these standalone requests that can come in. It's a good thing, but it also is a time suck, makes it really hard to manage your time, and makes it really hard to create a coordinated content experience inside your hub when you have a lot of kind of onesies and twosies coming in on the reactive side. The reactive side is really hard. It's really hard, and we tend to get stuck there. Base campaigns straddles the proactive and the reactive. Base campaigns becomes your pillars of content and your pillars of opportunity, whether that's on a month by month or whether that's on a quarterly basis. These are your known elements in your program. This is how you know you're going to drive results. You have that plan, you're looking ahead, and you're aligning to what's important to the business. So keep these 3 content frameworks in mind: proactive, reactive, and campaigns. So how does this look in practice? So we've talked about all of the reasons why we think campaigns are great. And from the administrator seat, how does this actually work? How do I fit campaigns into my workflow? Well, here's our best practice recommendation. Don't get too caught up in the numbers, right? You may be like a 50-50, you may be a 60-40. But for us as administrators, we recommend that about 70% of the time, right? So the total time, ask creation time, it's time consuming. 70% of the time that you have should be focused on campaigns. Why? Because that's where you drive the results. If you're focusing too much of your time on what we call the day-to-day hum, you may be doing a lot of busy work. You may be creating a lot of content. You may be having a lot of interactions that aren't actually moving the needle for the business or for your advocates. So focus on the campaign time as really the core use of your time in the program, and the rest, everything else that you're doing, it's still there. It doesn't go away. We are not suggesting that all you do in your base platforms is create campaigns. You do need to have that day-to-day hum, but you reduce your focus on that. When you're in that 70%, oh,
I'm sorry.
No problem. One last point here. I'm sure you've been reading ahead. You see these phases here for campaigns. This is, again, goes back to that point about workflow planning. If I'm just in the planning phase of a campaign, or I'm in the reporting phase of a campaign, as the administrator, I know what's required of me there. If I'm in the campaign building piece, I know that I'm going to have a busy week or a busy 2 weeks, and that I probably shouldn't be camping that week. I can use this campaign flow, this 5-phase flow of a campaign, to help me organize my time as the administrator, because chances are I'm not working full time in the platform. I probably have other things to do. So this is a good workflow exercise. And this is just kind of a high level sketch for you to think about, but campaigns being the core of where you spend your time is key here. Thanks, Liz. You can boogie us ahead there. And just a couple of last points here. I know that you all know what the results, the outcomes are that you should be driving with your programs, but I've just put a few ideas there around how campaigns can support these metrics. So you can have campaigns that are around social amplification. You can have a campaign that is all about reviews or referrals, and we'll talk about that later. You could have a campaign that is just about collecting product feedback. Whatever that metric is, whatever that focus or that goal is for the campaign, you stick to that and you build the campaign to support it. All roads lead to reviews in a reviews campaign. And then just a few last kind of value points here. Campaigns are great. Why? They're time bound. You drive ROI in a specific period of time. You're driving against those metrics that actually matter to the business. You're not getting kind of busy with busy work that may or may not be moving the needle. And importantly, you're breaking through the digital noise. Campaigns are experiential, as you'll see. There's something different. It's a novel and new way to interact with your business, with your brand. And that is eye-catching. With that, I will pass.
No, you have one more slide,
Oh,
Deena.
I have one more. Here we go. One more slide. Okay, elevating the experience. So journey campaigns. Journey campaigns are about guided asks and using storytelling to make the asks more palatable. You're going to see storytelling come through here as a theme. Campaigns grab attention, to reiterate. So over time, your program itself can also become a part of the noise. Like if you're doing a lot of push notifications or emails from your program, again, this can come out as something different, something eye-catching. I wonder what that is. I'm going to go back in and have a look. Campaigns can help build your brand. So you're really kind of branching out with creative themes, but that can also kind of augment or supplement how people think about your brand. And last, but certainly not least here, they're member-centric. So campaigns should be entertaining. They should be gamified. They should be uniquely fun for your unique set of customers. So this is all about elevating that experience. I'm excited for you to see some examples here and from Kiely and for Liz to get into some of the methodology. I hope you're as excited about campaigns as clearly I am.
Before we jump into the actual practice, so just to make sure that I understand, maybe this question also comes up for other people. What is the cadence? Like, you're not going to have a campaign every week, right? So like,
right. Yeah. Some programs that are, more resourced can handle a campaign a month. Some will go a campaign every 6 weeks. Some will just say, I'm just going to do a campaign every quarter. Depends on your program, the results that you're looking to drive, and also the appetite of your audience. When you start to run campaigns, if you start with running one campaign a quarter and you see great pickup, then try to do one every 2 months, try to do one every 6 weeks. If your audience responds to campaigns, that kind of becomes a no-brainer reason to shift your resourcing and your time and attention to those campaigns. But it's up to the individual. We would say do campaigns every month, but if you have the time for that.
If you guys need good examples around campaigns and gamification, always look to your own experiences. So for instance, if you do any gaming of any kind, if you use any game apps of any kind, they will always run, we wouldn't call them campaigns, but they will always do a flurry of activity. Now with game apps, they do that every few days, once a week. They're constantly pulling people back into the app. But per Deena's comment before, they're also giving you downtime where we're human. We're not always going to have enough time to spend on those. We don't want to feel like we're having FOMO constantly, even though we do want people to feel like they need to come back in. So this gives people time to, oh, there's something special going on. Okay, I'm going to spend some time today to go back into this and really participate, engage, because there's an extra level of incentive here for me to do that.
Yeah, and before we dive into this case study kind of related to the client that we're going to be sharing, we started with about every other month running a campaign. And for the past 6+ months, we've been doing a campaign every month. So we saw how they worked in their environment with their audience, and then we started going all in because they were driving so much value. All right, so let's see what it looks like. So we've created this. This is a real campaign that we created for one of our clients, but we've white labeled it just to protect their privacy. And we're just going to show you some of the asks that were in this campaign. But as you can see, this was a New Year's resolution, keeping your resolution type themed campaign. And our members were going to go on a hike, and you'll see that all the imagery really ties together. So let's dive in and see how we did this. Our client had two main pain points that we were looking to solve. So they noticed that when customers just bought their core product and only utilized that, they were more likely to churn. So they had other functionality that they really wanted to get their customers to adopt to help increase their retention. And they also had a couple specific use cases that were different industries outside of SaaS, and then people using their product in multiple departments. And they really wanted to understand those stories and be able to have some more content so their sales team could go and sell to these different industries as well. So from there, once we understood what the pains were that they were looking to solve, we started to create our goals for the campaign. So product adoption was really the focus. We wanted to have their customers adopt different functionality. They had multiple features that they could start using, and we wanted to get them onboarded with those. And then we also knew that some of those members were already maybe dabbling in some of those new features. So we wanted to have them share how they were using it or their plans to start doing so. Like I mentioned, we wanted to gather some customer content. So we sourced hand raisers who were interested in sharing their story. And this was really around those specific industries and use cases. And then for product education, we had a couple of things here. So we had certification completions, and these took approximately 12 to 15 hours. So pretty big time investment for their customers to get these certifications. But we believe really valuable for learning the different functionality and really becoming a much more embedded user. Content consumption have been small.
Is Kylie fading out for everyone else too?
Yeah, we can just keep going.
All right, let's get bidding. All right, and obviously engaging experience. So that's just a huge part of campaigns in general, guys. That's what we're leaning into in order to get results. So it also brings a very positive, hopefully, experience to your members as well. So it's an added benefit to this. It benefits you, it benefits them as well. So let's look at an overview of a campaign. So this is an actual copy, but scrubbed here. So really what we're laying here is this is a story. We're giving a framework, we're giving a wrapper, right? A campaign is really, content that's wrapped inside of a case. Go ahead, Kylie, go ahead.
All right, I'm back. So to give you an overview of what the campaign looks like, we had a little storyline. So it was New Year's, and this member just always gave up on their New Year's resolution, which was such a bummer. And they knew that utilizing this platform, they're helping to hit their goals, but they wanted to do something to prove to themselves that they will stick to their goals. So they set out this challenge towards hiking this mountain. And then they got everything that they needed to go about doing this, taking on this challenge. And throughout the campaign, they were going to have opportunities to learn more about the product and functionality, to share their story, and to engage in a pretty unique way that they haven't before. And then for all of the education and ROI activities that they complete, they earned a one raffle ticket towards redeeming one of those Ember mugs. So the smart mug, keeping their coffee hot so they can power through completing all the rest of their goals.
Kylie, is it a fair assumption that this campaign ran aligned to the end of year or the new year? Yep.
So you can see here we have our save the date challenge. So this was right before New Year's. We're announcing that, after the holidays, we are launching this campaign, getting really everyone excited to come back from the holiday break and dive in. And then here you can start to see we are, like Deena mentioned before, really into the storytelling aspect. So we're talking about how you're going to start on this adventure to make sure you're proving yourself, that you can keep up with these challenges, and diving into some of that storyline.
And important, and we'll get to this in the methodology, also telling them how they win, how they play the game, if we were to put it very coarsely.
And then the next ask that's loading, we're really getting into, we're taking off on this adventure now. And then starting to ask if they are interested in learning more about some of the products. So we're starting to transition from setting the stage to diving into a bunch of the campaign and the storyline. All right. And then we have just a couple examples of the asks that are really focused on driving the ROI. So in between these, there are, lighter asks that are for education and some fun, but just want to give you guys a taste of what some of these asks can look like when they're tied to the storyline. So they've just completed a really challenging part of the hike, and we're tying that into them overcoming obstacles in their real life. And so they take on getting certified. So again, I mentioned, this 12-hour certification. And once they share the screenshot to show that they did that, they get some major points for doing so. And next, we wanted to find some people for that very specific use case story. So we had a series of challenges that unlocked, and we found out if they were someone who was in one of those industries. And if so, then we unlocked the next ask to see if they'd be willing to share their story and their experience working in that different industry. And we let them know that if they said, yes, they were interested, someone would be reaching out to them to schedule an interview to really dive in and see what that story looked like. And then congratulations, they should be so proud of themselves. They completed the campaign, and they're taking in all the stunning views from their hike. And this was a really impactful ask that we had. We asked what their New Year's goal was with the product. So we had a lot of people sharing different functionality that they were planning on using. They wanted to share it with other departments. A lot of really great information here that then they could hand over to their CSM team to say, these people want to adopt this product, or these people want, more seats added, and a lot of great information for upsell and just product adoption as well. So we're getting into the results. We had 19 people share their use cases for those different functionalities. So they got a lot of insight into how their users were using them. 2 people raised their hand that they were interested in learning about a feature that wasn't included in the core package. 15 people of that really smaller subset were interested in sharing their story in a content piece. Again, 30 people shared the features that they wanted to adopt. Some of them were sharing multiple features that they were looking forward to beginning to use as well. 5 training courses, so about 30 to 90 minutes for those, and 2 of those 12 to 15-hour certifications during this time period. Some really dedicated people to cram that into this 2-week campaign. And so those were great results for our client, but then we also love to ask the users what they thought of the experience. So the highlight was how interactive and in sync the theme was. I'm setting up X new functionality. They loved learning more about the company, and they were also driven to try some new functionality. Easy way to understand. And again, people really liked this creative aspect. And this audience seems to be into any kind of really deep storyline and really getting to engage in that experience, but also, tying that back makes it a fun way for them to learn things that they probably could go and do on their own, or to share their story.
Awesome, Kiely. Thanks for that. Really just some basic human psychology here. Why do we love movies? I mean, it's all based around storytelling. And so you're really tapping into some basic human elements when you are building campaigns. You're tapping into storyline, you're tapping into gamifications, in some cases competitiveness. And so again, a wrapper to build entertainment, but also to drive, back to Deena's point, this is all about keeping things strategic as well in your program. You can put random fun asks in all the time. This is doing that in a very strategic way to drive to actual real results, so that you don't get stuck in the, oh yeah, I just got to keep people engaged and entertained so that I can report X number of people are engaged in my program. That is not an actual result. At the end of the day, you need to be able to tie that activity and that engagement to actual results for the business. And also that ties a lot of positive sentiment to your program members as well. All right, so yes, Kiely, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to dive in. I was looking at some of our clients' results before, and the average ask completions more than doubled since we started running these campaigns. And people really love to go in and will complete a bunch at one time. So we're really getting a lot of bang for your buck on the client side, but also for their users. Like, they can come in, engage in the experience, and not have to spend all, a couple days a week every month there.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, great results to see that uptick in the actual engagement. All right, so we're
There's
going
one
to
question we have, it just came up a question from Lisa, and maybe Kyle, you were referring to that, but like, is there an average length for a campaign? Or does it just depend on the outcomes you're looking for? So maybe a review campaign would be different than an upsell campaign, or is there, you always want to stick to 2 weeks and that's it, or whatnot?
It can vary. We've seen, you could do a pop-up campaign. It's only a couple days. We had one campaign with our client that was 1 day. It was a big social takeover. But I'd say on average, our campaigns typically run for about 2 weeks. It really depends on the gameplay, the outcomes, all of that.
But you wouldn't pull it longer because you want that kind of time. Like you wouldn't do a campaign for a full month, right? That's like.
No, we definitely recommend like that time-bound element really gets people to come in, engage, and so we have the incentive at the end. So you don't really want to have them ongoing forever. That's kind of a different approach.
Mm-hmm. Again, look to your own experience. When there's a sale on, if it's a sale that's going on for a month or so, you're like, I got time. If it's a sale that's ending tomorrow, you tend to feel an urge. So follow your own human urges. That will take you down the right path. So we're going to jump in now into how we actually, this is like, we're going to open the curtain and we're going to walk through how we actually design these campaigns. All right, so we have 5 steps for success. I'm going to walk you through these 5 steps. The most intricate, or maybe the most unfamiliar to you, might be defining your gameplay. So how are we going to design this from a gamification element? Bringing those ideas together into that creative theme, content planning, the visual theme that's going to go along with this, very, very important element. And then how are you going to share the results of your campaign? So let's just jump in here. Gameplay, I'm going to spend the most time on. It's the most complex. And there's 3 components of gameplay I'm going to tap into. So storyline and mission. So in Kiely's example there, the storyline was very, very easy to resonate with, which is I have a resolution and I literally just cannot keep it and it's gone within a month. What's my mission? To actually keep a resolution, to make it to the end of the game itself. Campaign pace, we just talked about that a little bit, but how are you going to set up your asks? What is that cadence that they're going to be able to play the game? And then how are they able to win? So let's dig into each of these. All right, so it's really, really important when you are building, you have a pain point. You always want to start with a pain point. What am I trying to solve for? Or what are my OKRs? What do I need to fulfill with this program, with my advocate base? So you're going to take that, but then you want to wrap it into a storyline and a mission. And it's very, very imperative that you are clear when you begin your campaign. What is this storyline? And what am I, as the player, supposed to accomplish? I need to know that in order to fully immerse myself inside of this campaign. So I'm going to look at this first example here on the left. So this is a holiday campaign. Lots of warm, fuzzy words and feelings here. Season is magical, cocoa, there's a candy cane. We're bringing all these elements of storytelling together. And then here we have the story, which is you learn that you have this week to participate and earn some pretty sweet rewards. Great. So December 12th through 16, we're giving them the timeline. There'll be new opportunities ranging from celebrating top members to fun holiday trivia, sharing your story. We put Captivate there, something for everyone. So it's telling them what's expected of them and getting them excited about this. All right. Now the pace. This is different than timeline, which we just had a question about, but how fast you allow them to participate in the storyline. Right? So when we say instant, we're talking about you have a series of coordinated asks, like Deena said, which is your campaign, and all those asks are open for playing. So maybe there's an initial ask that gives them the overview of the campaign, but then they're allowed to participate and do as many of those asks as quickly as possible. There's a lot of pros with that. When someone comes in, they're in the moment, they're in the mood, they're really psyched in, and they just do a lot of content all at once. And so maybe with some of your avid players, whoa, in like 2 hours, they literally have given you weeks of engagement and goodness from that engagement. My previous life, I worked with an IT audience. I don't know, but these guys had so much time. I can say guys, because it was mostly guys. And there were sometimes I could tell they were literally just keeping my program open all day long and completing stuff. So they would come in and do as much as they possibly could. So that's a good pro for that. There's drip, which means you do have a set timeline for your campaign, but you may only get to do 1 or 2 things a day. What's good about this? Well, what's good about this is that means you're forcing people to come back into the base platform every day. And you probably have other content and other things that you want them to see and participate that may not be directly tied to that campaign. So this builds habit for engaging more with your platform. It could open their eyes to other things that are going on, and you might get residual goodness out of that. And then there's sequential. This really amplifies the storyline. So if I have to complete an ask before I get to the next step of the story, and then I have to complete that ask to get to the next step of the story, that can create a really interesting storyline for me when I'm building out that campaign. But it also means I'm always interested in like, oh, what's the next thing going to be? What's that next thing going to be? And so that's that curiosity in humans that makes us always want to keep going because we just want to know what's the next thing. So there's pros for each of these type of pacing. There are cons to each of them as well. So again, play with them. You can use different campaign pace techniques to keep things really fresh when you are building campaigns. And lastly, for gameplay, ways to win. You will have different personality types in your program, I guarantee you, even if you feel like you have a homogenous group in there. There are people like me who really don't want to waste my time necessarily on the chance that 1 out of 200 chance I might get something for doing everything in this campaign. I am more satisfied when you give me a smaller incentive, but I know I'm in control. If I do X, I will get Z, yay, I'm in control of that situation. So it's a guarantee for playing. It might be points, it might be a smaller prize for everyone who completes this. It might be that you have triggers that set up automated rewards. But there's also, of course, we know we're really invested sometimes in this idea of chance. Could I be the winner of this one big thing? You know, just depending on how are you a lotto player? Are you not a lotto player? Lotto players really fascinate me. Just keep believing that maybe it could be you to win that big prize. So some people are very motivated by that, the big what if. So higher activity, higher chance. The more you participate, the more chance you get to be part of this big reward. And so sometimes that's motivating. Really, what we like to look at is to say, okay, there's going to be both types of people possibly playing this campaign. Do I have multiple ways to win so that I'm not scaring away people who are like, even if I complete that, I'm not going to get it anyway. Glass half empty people. But you know, you are also really playing into those people who like those big what ifs as well. All right, so that was gameplay. So figure out how the game is going to be played. What's the storyline? How am I going to use the mechanisms of the platform itself to support that storyline? What's that pace? And then how are people going to win? How do they get to win in this scenario? When you've decided that, right, you need to document everything. Keep yourself organized. So what we use campaign briefs. This means we have a document that has the storyline, explains the gameplay. We'll usually put some visual elements into that brief that show this is generally how we want the visual effects to feel. Who is our target audience? Is it everyone in this program? Are we going after a specific segment? What are our goals and objectives? What pain points are we solving for? The time frame, is this a 1-day campaign, a 1-hour campaign, a 2-week campaign? What communications have to go out? So this one's really, really important. You can't just put something in there and expect people to just pop up and they're automatically going to be like, oh, look, a campaign is in here. No, you've got to actually do a communications plan around this campaign to make sure that you get the engagement that it deserves for the level of effort that you've put into this. What are my rewards? And what's my budget? One thing here I like to just remind people is budget is not just how much money it costs to have the rewards. If you're someone who tracks point budgeting, like how much theoretically have I given away via points in my program, you might want to calculate that as well. But also how much time is needed for me to put together this campaign, knowing the level of complexity, maybe visual elements I want to use, maybe I want to create some kind of video as part of this campaign. So just giving an estimate as well of how much resources are going to be needed for this. Once you have that all set up, maybe you have an approval system with someone for that proposal for a campaign, or what you're going to do is create a content planner. Well, this is what we do. We create a content planner. So we document in a spreadsheet every single ask that needs to be built. What's the ask type? What's the point value? When should it be published? When should it be unpublished? Are there specific things we need to know about this ask? Is there an email notification associated with it? Everything, step by step by step. Is it unlocking another ask, etc.? This helps you stay really, really organized, especially when you're building the campaign itself. You have a map for how that campaign needs to be built. And if you're building with someone else, if you're one of the lucky few who do have a partner helping to run your base instance, this is very, very handy when you're co-creating, which helps the creation go much, much faster.
These keep you really organized too, because you know exactly which asks you need to approve. And if there is unlocking, you want to really be on top of approving those asks so people can move on to the next.
Absolutely. Okay, visual theming. We love this part. I love this part, right? It's so important. So when you're thinking about your storyline, we'll go a little bit backwards here. You really want to think about holistically, not just what you're tying into with words, but also visually. There's a lot of different theming you can tap into with campaigns. So for instance, these are all real examples, but pop culture. I love this thing. Kiely created this for a different client, but, you know, partner things. So taking something that's really well known in pop culture, behind there's some Marvel stuff, and turning it into something that really resonates with your audience base. Experiences. So the hiking one that Kiely shared, that's definitely experiential. We've done a lot of campaigns that take you to different places around the world, and you can experience that virtually. Holidays, of course, right? Any kind of shared experience. So holidays, but be geographically like aware. Obviously, not everyone celebrates the same holidays. So tapping into for specific target audiences, what would everyone be resonating with at this time? And there's other things too. Sports, it's just so huge. One of the only shared experiences that we really experience globally now is the Olympics. So that's a very, very common one that everyone can share at the same time, which is very powerful. And then games, people love to play games. And so even taking gaming techniques that people are very familiar with, whether that be cards or trivia or whatever that is, and embedding that into your storyline or your gamification. All right. And after you've run a brilliant campaign and you've seen amazing results, you absolutely want to report back on that. The easiest way to do this is to create a campaign report template and be consistent with how you're reporting on your campaign results. So, so you want to include all the metrics, of course, which I showed here. This was our goal. Did we reach our goal? Yes or no? And then, of course, that user element as well. We always like to ask at the end of our campaigns how this resonated with the audience. Was this enjoyable? And you could even set a standard metric for how you can report on that. So maybe all the participants who gave feedback on this campaign gave it a 4.5. Oh, we ran this other campaign that was with this theme where they had to do this type of activity and they gave it a 3. And so we're learning as we go what resonates with our advocate base and what doesn't resonate. And you can also compare engagement levels between those campaigns. So back to Deena's point, if you remember, one of the points was reporting made easy. We said reporting made easy based on like, how am I hitting my OKRs? How am I hitting my own personal metrics I'm responsible for? But it also allows you to report very easily on what's working and what is not working, because you're using time-based activity and engagement techniques, and then you're learning as you go. Oh gosh, no, this program membership does not like to be asked to share video. Will not do it. Absolutely won't do it. Can you tell? I've definitely had programs where could not get them to share video. So then you have to rethink that next campaign and say, okay, a video is going to stop the entire game process in its tracks. What can we do that's a lighter ask? And maybe only, we only need to walk away with 2 videos at the very end as a bonus play. So you're going to learn about which gamification techniques are going to work with your audience and which they're going to absolutely say, I don't want to play. All right. So I'm gonna stop there, because that was our sneak peek behind the scenes of how we put these campaigns together. Gal, do you have any questions that we need to answer at this point?
Yes, there was one question that I came from Lauren. I saw kind of Deena gave the answer there in writing, but Lauren was saying regarding the wins, like the way to win, is it in addition to points? And I saw that Deena said yes, but I mean, so can you give some examples of a way to win that are in addition to points? And
yeah, a very, very common one. So points are kind of great, obviously, because at least I'm getting points for anything that I do, even if I'm not completing the full campaign. A very, very common one is, hey, everyone who makes it to the end of the storyline, who completes the mission, is then entered into a raffle for a much bigger reward. So in this case, with Kiely, it wasn't a huge reward, but it was a pretty cool, like trendy reward, which was an Ember mug. So it's a digital mug. I actually don't know what it is, Kiely, but I'm sure it's really, really interesting. And so not only are you earning points along the way, so that's a guarantee. I'm going to get points. I can always take those points, go to the reward catalog and spend those points however I want. But if I do get to the end of the storyline, or in Kiely's case, if however many activities I completed that were of value to the organization, I would get and earn another entry into that raffle. So theoretically, the people who do the most have the highest chance of winning that grand prize at the end. So that's just one example of gamification.
oh,
Or wait,
I'm happy to know that I'm not the only one that doesn't know what an Ember mug is. The other question I had, and I think maybe it's a good one also to kind of close the loop, is how do you align? You talked about reporting, and I think it's super important. How do you align the campaign goals with the team, or how do you help the team align the campaign goals with the manager? So, right, we're telling everybody. I guess my question is, how much of an internal information is about the campaign? Is this only stays something that the customer marketing team does? Say, we're running this campaign in March and that's it, nobody needs to know about it? Or do you recommend creating some kind of hype inside the company, letting everybody know, hey, we're doing this campaign in March with our customers? Kind of, that's one piece of it. And the other piece of it, how do you align on results and reporting and say, we expect to see out of this, we're doing this because we expect to see these results, and this is what we're going to be measured on. Do you recommend to do that, and in what framework?
Yeah, so 2 questions there to unpack. The first, I'll use reviews as an example. So you may just be running a review campaign inside your program because you, as the program manager, have a KPI around reviews. A more strategic play would be to understand as a business, when is, for example, the window for the Gartner Peer Insights window. What is marketing doing to drive results with a direct email campaign, and how is what you're doing interacting with the other review related outreach during that time. To your second question around, was it around reporting, Gal?
Yeah. and outcomes, reporting and measuring outcomes, basically.
Right, and aligning to outcomes. So what we do is we set out outcomes from the get-go, and we try to do that based on actuals. So if you're just starting with campaigns, you're probably just going to want to look at kind of your regular engagement rate and start to base your outcomes based on that. Once you've run a campaign and you can see kind of how much more activity or what percentage of people tend to get engaged in a campaign, then you can start to create outcomes numbers or projections based on those actuals. But for your first campaign, it might just kind of be like a bit of a finger in the air, like typically month over month, 30% of my members are active. So I'm going to say if 30% of my members came in and participated in this campaign, this is the type of result that I would see against those metrics.
Mm-hmm. And as far as internal collaboration question, Gal, I think it just depends. Not every campaign needs to be a full-blown, company-wide involvement, and that's going to take way too much of your time. But there are certain company-wide focuses that it would behoove you to play into. A huge one that we see, of course, is a company event or a user event. So if you're going to have a live event of some kind, you're going to want to know what your part is to play in that. But you might want to run campaigns. Maybe you want to run a 1-week campaign all about learning who your customers are. You can always take the results back internally. In fact, that's a very good best practice. You don't want to keep hidden what you are doing at any point because you want people to understand the value that your customers are bringing through the program. But as far as level of participation, it just really depends what the outcomes are and how visible they need to be and how far up the impact goes. Knowing my audience inside of the program is very valuable to me because then I learn how to motivate them, what changes I need to make to the program as a whole to make this more sticky, to make this more engaging, but that doesn't directly affect somebody over there in product. So they don't need to be part of that. But obviously, if I'm doing an upsell campaign, for instance, I'm probably going to want some involvement with product on how to talk about some of these products. Which products should we be targeting for this? What's an easy entry point with new products, et cetera. So that then in that case, you'll want to collaborate with that team.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, just to add on that, I think that, all customer marketers should always think about internal marketing, right? So you might not want to involve everybody in every campaign, but I think it's great when you have campaigns to think, how can I share this success internally? Who are the people that I do want to kind of make sure that they know that we ran this and we saw these outcomes? And market your own achievements, and campaigns are just, I think, a nice wrapper to market achievements internally and show that. I saw one question come in from Lauren. Ooh, it's a long one to read. Should you run only one campaign?
Go ahead and oh, sorry, I was just going to say, in the interest of time, I can go ahead and respond to Lauren.
So Deena will respond. One thing I will share before everybody leaves, and before we say thank you to the amazing team here at Captivate Collective is, so we're announcing Obsession 2023. You guys are our customers, and Obsession and Captivate is our partners. So you're the first ones to know about it. Next week, you're going to have all the details and you're going to learn much more and information. But save the dates, June 6th and June 7th, San Francisco. It's happening. We'd love to see all the customers come there. Content like this amazing content that was just shared by Captivate will be there as well. And a lot of other things and great speakers. So just wanted to make sure they all know that first. Again, everybody else is going to know about it next week. So yeah, with that, and I think Deena is typing now the answer also to Lauren's question. One more question was about, could you share the slide? So anyway, we will share the recording.
And we're not quite done, Gal. We have one little quick section here that we haven't gone through yet. So to bring this home for all of you guys, we have actually a really cool product that we are offering or just releasing today, which is taking a lot of the work of creating these campaigns, which they can be hefty, especially if you're not used to it, learning the creativity aspect, learning the storyline and all that. So we are introducing a couple templated campaigns. So let me explain what those are. These are templated campaigns for base, or what we call Captivate campaigns. These are comprehensive kits of everything you need to implement a campaign structure into your program. So this is a review race. This is one that we'll be doing. The focus will obviously be on building reviews. You will get an entire ask planner, as you can see here, with instructions on how everything needs to be built in. You'll get a guide. It will walk through every single ask. It will have all the copy for every single ask so that you do not have to write this or organize this. You will have inside that guide also the storyline, the mission, the gamification, all of that already planned and explained to you, where anyone can just read through that document and participate. I was going to say something, and instructions for, okay, how do I need to set up this specific ask in order for this gameplay to work? You'll get a communications timeline. So we will instruct you what's the cadence of how you need to communicate out about this campaign. And you'll also get visuals to go along with your campaign. So when you order your campaign template, we will then send you all of these elements, and we will also do slight branding element for you as well, with the colors of your organization to match your program with that. Okay, that's the end. So those templated campaigns, we now have two. We have one focused on reviews, and we have one focused on referrals. That's playing the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire game, if that's familiar with you. These are now available, but you guys are the first people to hear about it as base customers. Obviously, they will sell for $350 and you get absolutely everything. But for the next month, because it's a new product, we're just giving them half off, like literally. So you guys can go, take, implement, test, give us feedback and all that good stuff. So we will be sending you information on this after the fact, so you can check this out yourself. All right, now you can wrap up.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you. This is a great offer, and I do recommend, to take one at least and try it, if not both of them. I think it's great campaigns, both reviews and referrals, and it looks amazing, and it's kind of fully strategized. You still have work to do, but it's fully strategized and taking the best practice that Captivate Collective has built for so many years. So I think it's an amazing thing for our customers to adopt, and we love it. And like Liz said, we will share with all of you details on how to get it and how to get it running. Thank you so much, Deena, Liz, Kiely, for sharing all this information, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining us. I know we're kind of 1 minute, 2 minutes late. So loved it. I think it was very beneficial for everybody. I think they all have a new idea of what campaigns really should be and look like, how they should strategize around it. And I think it's beneficial. So appreciate it. And thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.